Hello, everyone. Welcome to the One United podcast. I'm Dinete Thomas, joined today in the studio by Wali Siddiqui, Anshuman Joshi, and Pochettino Ekus Singh. Today, we'll be going to review the Wolves game, the title charge, whether it will happen or not, Bruno's impact this year, in this calendar year, and the Aston Villa preview. So I'll go with Wali. What do you think of the Wolves game? What are your thoughts after the final whistle?
I'm just glad that we won that game. It was just that sort of a game, quite lethargic from both camps. Even though I thought that Wolves were the better team in the first half, we sort of started to control the game after the half an hour mark, and that was good to see. But there were a lot of misplaced passes, and the reason why there are a lot of misplaced passes is because of the squad rotation as well. Because there's no familiarity within the ideal starting 11 at the beginning. But the good thing that I liked yesterday was that the centre back partnership between Harry Maguire and Eric Bailly was commendable. And this is what I mean. If you have a quick centre back with Harry Maguire, even Harry Maguire will look really good. And same goes for Victor Lindelof as well. Yesterday we defended quite well, and if you look at the three performances in which we've defended quite well, one I think was against the PSG, the away fixture in the Champions League. It was Victor Lindelof and Axel Tuanzebe. Then it was against Everton in the Carabao Cup. It was Maguire and Bai. And then once again it was last night's game against Wolves, Maguire and Bai. So you need to have a perfect balance in that centre back pairing. But we all know that Eric Bailly, he's a biscuit. He's gonna get injured sooner or later. I hope he doesn't. The ideal defender for us would be uh, an individual who can have the fitness level of a Maguire, but who has the quick pace of Eric Bailly. I hope we find that defender somehow.
Mhm.
And yeah, midfield. In the midfield, I think everyone had a stinker, man. I think
Mhm.
Matic bossed the midfield in terms of interceptions. Pogba had a poor game. Uh, Matter of fact, even Bruno and Marcus Rashford were not at it. But the reason why these two players have to play day in and day out for United is because it's just about that one chance. And we've seen that Marcus Rashford has the pace, and we've seen that time and time again that he runs behind off the shoulder of the defender, and that happened
Mhm.
once again. So it was just about that one moment. Thankfully, we got that goal and massive 3 points. We need to win ugly once we, even if we
Yeah.
don't play well. So that was
Mhm.
solid 3 points. You have to say that.
Pochettino, what do you have to add for that to what Wally said?
I certainly feel that the game was quite balanced.
Hello, you there? I think Pochettino's on his flight to PSG.
I think that was his opinion.
Yeah, Pochettino's on his way to. Okay,
he,
go
he's
ahead.
Yeah, so I think till the 74th minute, it was quite a day more than Wolves to prepare for the game. So I think they got
Mhm.
lethargic till the 74th minute, and then we took it from there. But overall, I think it was that game because um, I didn't see that they were not
trifle.
creating anything. For me,
Mhm.
they didn't create enough. And like United, you always think that they're going to use the wide areas, even though I think now we have good wingers. I mean,
Mhm.
uh, the left wing, the left backs and the right backs are really good in the team. If you see Brandon and Aaron and Luke and Tellis, but
Mhm.
it's not enough. This is not. I don't think we are there for the title yet because we still lack a centre back and a right winger. We're I'm also really disappointed with Mason Greenwood. I don't know why, but
Mhm.
he's not having the kind of performances that you would imagine after so much
Mhm.
confidence early on. So I feel we might finish top four, but title it is too early to say.
Okay, Anshuman, you want to add to any of Wali's and Poch's point?
Yeah, I will mostly resonate, echo what Wali said. That I'm just happy that we won the match. because December is already a very hectic month, and in COVID it has been even more hectic. And if there's one thing that this season has already established is that every team is going to have a phase where they'll not be winning and they'll not be playing well. And United have had that phase, and currently there are other teams going through that phase right now. City drew recently, Liverpool drew recently, Arsenal and Chelsea have their patches right now, and we are winning. So this is one of those matches where we just pick up all the points that we can and consolidate our position right at top of the league. And as Ekus said, that as far as the title aspirations are concerned, I think it's very early to say. It's just one of those wacky seasons where we can end up first or 12th right now. Because you see, Arsenal 2 weeks up until 2 weeks ago, they were relegation fodder, and they have won 2 weeks running, and now they are 12 points off top. So anything can happen on that regard. And yeah, I think with our match against Wolves was a very cagey one. What I felt at the end of that match that we were quite lucky, because I think about the goal that Rashford got, and it was quite a lucky goal because it was first of all it was deflected in, and second of all that he had a clear cut chance to pass it to Cavani. Because the more I look at it, the more I feel like he Cavani would have had a better shot at it. And fine, that's Rashford got away with it. He had goal, and we got away with the 3 points. That's wonderful. And now we sit with the same amount of matches played, 2 points of Liverpool, and they will be playing tonight. They'll be playing soon, so let's see if they can drop any points. So that might give us any more hope. So yeah, I'm just at the end of the day, I'm just very happy that we were able to get all 3 points.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with is that part of the season where you're not gonna play with full intensity for the whole 90 minutes or even start off the game that well. Against Wolves, I was quite surprised that they were playing a bit like a low block from the start until to the end of the first half, where they both teams started attacking. It was more like a basketball game, and then again towards the end, where Wolves ran out of energy, probably because of their 48-hour difference they had between their last game and this one. We took advantage of that, but it still felt like we were not gonna draw that. We're gonna not win that game. But yeah, so obviously when you play like that in a game like that and win it, it feels a much more exciting feeling. But yeah, I do agree with Akos's point that we still need to create more chances, even though we are Man United and we should be playing for like attacking football. But during this, like given the circumstances and everything, I think a win wasn't the best result, but compared to like how we played against Leicester, where we dropped 2 points, where we should have probably won that game due to like a lack of concentration, we dropped 2 points there, and we gained 2 points here when we didn't look like we were going to win. So in the balance of play, I feel like putting both those results in, I think we are at the right path. And like Anshuman said, Liverpool dropped points against West Brom, which no one would have thought they would drop, and then they're playing Newcastle away, and hopefully our former player Steve Bruce could help dent their uh, gap in the title. So speaking of title, can we actually challenge for 21 in 2021? I'm gonna go with Anshuman for this first.
Mhm. Well, like I already said, like this is one of those wacky seasons that we can probably end up anywhere in the top 15 positions. And I think right now it's early to say because everyone is dropping points. We will be dropping points. We have already dropped points. So I think uh, it's where I think it's an early time to make any kind of shouts regarding relegations or to winning the league. I think what we need to do right now is that we need to just get our head down and continue playing and get points where everyone else is dropping them. I think the thing that plays in our favor is that no one is really giving us any prayer, because before the start of the season, everyone was so enamored with the way Arteta was going about things, and everyone absolutely wrapped up of Frank Lampard because he's the darling of the English media. And Pep
Mm,
Guardiola, you look at him, and even right now when we are above than Manchester City in the Premier in the league, so if, everyone still thinks that they are the favorites to win the league. So I think all things considered, when it comes to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United, people still don't really rate us highly enough. And I think that is one of the situations that can actually play in our favor, because we have relatively less pressure than all of these other big boys, because Jose Mourinho has went in Tottenham and he already started giving them a lot of hope, and he needs to win a trophy to declare his time at the club a success. So he's under pressure, and Arteta is already under a lot of pressure. And Frank Lampard, Chelsea have dropped points recently, so they are already having their issues. And So I think when you look at the big players around us, I think we are one of those big clubs that are just the butt of all jokes. So maybe this is a good opportunity for us to just keep our head down and keep playing, play the consistent football, keep wrapping up points, and maybe we'll find ourselves in title contention when March rolls around, and then we can maybe get serious about talking whether we can win the league or not. Right now, I think we are looking very confident to another top four finish, which should be the bare minimum as far as the league finish is concerned. So yeah, I think the recent performances have been very optimistic. We have started gaining more and more momentum. We have been more consistent. So yeah, let's just hope that continues.
Mhm. Wally, do you want to add to what Anshuman said?
Yeah, we're definitely in the title race first and foremost, because if people are considering that Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur are in a title race, then most definitely we are also in a title race. But the thing is, like Anshuman said, uh, the point difference between second and ninth right now is just of 4 points. Of 4 points. So basically, if you just lose two games, or even if you lose and draw a game, you might find yourself below the top six. So that's how consistent, and that's where your true character will come in display. I feel our team has it, because we have been performing quite well in the league for quite some time now. Yes, the beginning, the first half, especially the first few games, they were
Mhm.
disappointing to say the least, but we bounced back quite well. The thing which worries me is that our defense at the moment, because it's quite shaky at the moment. We still do not know what our best combination is. Aaron Van Bissaka, he was basically, here's something quite controversial. He was supposed to be our best defender, but his movement up the pitch I don't know, man, it's quite questionable. The way that he loses the ball, he doesn't give me any confidence at all. Even when he's rushing up the flank, you just know it that that cross isn't going to reach Cavani or any other centre forward for that matter. So that's quite frustrating, because from the right, we are not creating any chance, and that's what pissed me off even more when we had Lindelof and then Dan James starting at right back against Leicester. It's basically like nothing is going to go through there. Everything is coming from the left. Even if you look at the last game, Alex Telles was creating a lot of chances. He was substituted because he had a niggle, and then even Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford and then Anthony Martial were, having those link-up plays. But from the right, there was absolutely nothing. Paul Pogba was trying to do his bit, but if you have a right back who's not confident while bombing up the pitch, I think that is going to be a problem. And then, like I said, if you have Harry Maguire and Lindelof, what happens when Victor Lindelof is fit again? Do you start him? I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to do that, and that is something which we need to work in. The reason why this is the reason why I'm not so confident, but the reason why I'm confident, hear me out. Uh, Only two players are performing up top. If you look at it right now for United, that's Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. Mason Greenwood has not been added. Uh, Edison Cavani is still, blending himself into the Premier League. Anthony Martial has not been added. Mason Greenwood has not been added. So you could just imagine Paul Pogba has been a bit hot and cold as well. So you can just imagine Ronnie van de Beek hasn't got an opportunity. So if these players blend in, even if we do concede a few goals, we have the capability to outscore any team. So
Mhm.
that's why I'm confident. And sooner or later, these players will get in form. You can't keep Mason Greenwood quiet for too long. So I just hope that I'm not too worried about the attack. It's the defense that I'm worried about. If we fix that, January transfer window is going to be quite crucial. So the January transfer window opens a day from now. Let's just see what happens if we buy a centre back or a right back option, like to keep the
Mhm.
pressure on Van Bissaka. We might have a
Mhm.
good chance of doing something.
Mhm. Poch, what are your thoughts on our title challenge? I know you mentioned it earlier, but
I personally am the most optimistic when it comes to United, but I don't think I don't think we deserve the title yet because of so many problems that we are facing, along with Pogba. Just one example of what Pogba did that game, again taking so easily or carelessly, to be honest, on how he lost the ball there, and Bai had to cover for him. I mean, he's our most expensive player. And if your most expensive player is not performing, then you have to take Chelsea in your mind and then compare yourself to them. And
Mhm.
I personally feel we are still two or three pieces away from being that title team. But as Wali and Anshuman and you also suggested that this is a COVID hit season, so
Mhm.
anything can happen. But obviously, Liverpool are the favorites, and City will bounce back too. City is having very, very average games, and I think they are going to bounce back at some point in the season. So I think we, if you compare us to City and Liverpool, we'll still be third, but I honest position that I think we would finish is second, and
Mhm.
that that might happen, that might not happen, but the way they are taking some games so easily, they don't. First of all, to start the season, they were not performing until they conceded a goal. Then they were not
Mhm.
performing at home. We have the least points before this game of any of the seasons at home. There, if you are
Mhm.
not performing at home, you're not going to win a title. I
Mhm.
think we're like 15th on the table of
Yep.
performing at home.
Mm-hmm.
So the most important point for me is they need to start winning games comprehensively at home, and that is going to decide the title because their away
Mhm.
form is good. Home is
Mhm.
pathetic.
I agree with Ekus's Poch's point about the home form because I think the one big crucial thing for me this season is our home form more than anything else. It could be due to COVID because I mean, with between not having fans in the stadium. Because when you think about playing for Old Trafford, it's obviously like a big part of playing in Old Trafford is the fans, and some players more than the others would be affected by not having any fans there because even when after the project restart, we drew against Southampton and West Ham at home. So it's our home form has been dreadful ever since project restarts, not just this season. So that could be something that the United players need to quickly turn around and perform at home at least. And the other thing that I would worry about for our title challenge would be definitely we need one more player. I hope we could go into the January market and get that player, but it seems like there's not going to be that one player available that could easily come in and help our team. It is always hard to do that in the winter transfer window, but
Which
now
player
with
would you want that to be? Which position?
definitely, I'm not sure about center back yet. I would probably think more about, like you mentioned, right back, because I admired Aaron Wan-Bissaka like when he joined, but lately he's been very poor, and also he doesn't give anything moving forward. If you look at our left back, we have Tellers who's really good creative left back, and also Luke Shaw who's improved so much this season. So our left back
Yep.
position looks more sorted than our right wing, and obviously we don't have a right winger, traditional right winger. So that, like Wali, you mentioned, the whole right side is just nothing over there. So obviously, if you could get like a proper right back, or I don't know what's up with Brandon Williams, he's kind of been told to be loaned out to a German club, I believe. So we'll see about how that would happen. But obviously, we can't play Lindelof and right back and imagine something's going to happen. So those two would be my biggest reason why we would fall short of the title. I don't think City is going to improve that much because if you look at all the City players, Kevin De Bruyne hasn't performed this whole calendar year. I think he's only scored 2 or 3 goals, non-penalty goals this season. I mean, this calendar year in 2020. Maris is out of form. Aguero is injured. Jesus is out of form. So City has a lot more issues than United on. I mean, in their club, but obviously with United comes more pressure and more media coverage, which makes us look like we are always a club in turmoil compared to the other ones. Now we are seeing that with Chelsea because they spend a lot of money. And if Arsenal win their next game and if Chelsea lose, Arsenal is just 3 points behind Chelsea. So like the season is really anyone's to take, but I think United have a really good shot if they could get fixed with their get a bit more squad depth and definitely improve our home form because our away form has been amazing. Another problem would be probably our performance against top six. Last season we never had any issues with that, but this season we saw Ole trying to do a lot more in this big six in the top six games where we have either looked like we're never going to score or when the other teams score we are never going to come back, like against Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, City. All 4 games were very poor from United.
Why
The
did you
game
just
against
mention Arsenal over here, man?
oh yeah, sorry, Arsenal's no more a big club. Okay, Leicester City. Let's replace with Leicester City. We
Yeah,
could have won
I
that
think
game,
the
but
Leicester
game
we
against
City.
drew.
Leicester we should have won, and they
We
Yeah,
should have
we
didn't.
should
won
have.
that. We should have, but we drew
Leicester
that.
Leicester had
I
two
think
shots on
even the
target
game
in that
against
game.
Yeah,
Arsenal we shouldn't have lost.
yeah, I
No,
agree.
we shouldn't
Agree.
have.
We shouldn't have. That was a very dull game, and even Chelsea also.
And
We could have
imagine
probably
you
nicked it.
dropped 5 points between Leicester and Arsenal games. That's the
Hmm.
difference between a title charged team.
Exactly. So it's mainly our home form. That should be something we all need to be careful about. But one thing I would say, and I'm optimistic about, is in the whole of 2020, ever since one player joined our club, we have been
Mm.
one of the most consistent teams in the league, right? Second to just few points by Liverpool, and which is how the league is right now as it stands. So the game against Anfield is going to be very crucial if we can get a victory against Aston Villa. So if that happens, and if we do get even a draw at Anfield against this Liverpool side, I would be a bit more optimistic going to the season. But obviously, there are the other tournaments and stuff which could again change up, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm still on the fence about whether we'll challenge or not. But even if we do challenge and end up being second, that's still a good season if we can add a Carabao Cup or a Europa League with it. Like I mentioned earlier about one player's impact, Bruno's impact in 2020. Anshuman, what do you think of his performance and how vital he was for us this year? And do you think he will be consistent in the next 2021?
Well, I'll be very honest. I had never expected Bruno Fernandes to arrive and perform as comprehensively as he has ever since the first day he arrived. And sure, because last summer, since we had decent transfer acquisitions, I thought that Bruno will be a good buy. And every time someone from a different country comes in, I always in the back of my mind think that they need to be given few months, maybe 6 months or a whole season to bed in, to acclimatize to the club, to get used to the English surroundings and then start playing. But he just started playing from the get go. And there has been a lot of criticism against him that when he arrived, the criticism that was lashed against him was that he plays a lot of sideways passes. His his pass accuracy is not that much. But since then, we have seen that that's because he tries a lot of forward passes, and that was big challenge for us because even though we were defensively solid last season, we did not really have someone who could get us that incisive pass. He brought us that. And for a long time, everyone just looked at him and go, no, he's just a penalty merchant. Well, for starters, I don't have the same opinion as everyone else of what a penalty merchant is. I think be able to take penalty and continuously and regularly take them away and score goals from them is a completely different skill set. And you can joke about it all you want. And yes, we can sit here and debate that giving a penalty for a dodgy handball is the same extent of foul that we give to someone who lashes out a leg breaking tackle. That is a completely different discussion. But he has that skill set as well. And over the past few months, he has once again proved that he's not just a penalty merchant. He can give you passes. He can give you shots. He has that leadership presence. I think that has been the biggest factor for me because even without the armband, for me, he is the out and out leader. I've already talked about Maguire here that I do believe that Maguire is a senior figure, Maguire, but he is not the kind of lighthouse that everyone looks up to when things start starting to go south. So for
Mhm.
me, that person is Bruno Fernandes. And the sooner that we can realize, and maybe Oli would be looking at the situation, maybe he'll be thinking that maybe there's a diplomatic way from in which he can make him the out and out captain. He can give him the armband without really offending Maguire in such a way that things
Mhm.
go irrevocably south. So I think this for since Sir Alex retired, this for me has been the most impactful signing. I don't think there is. I don't really have any kind of doubt in that matter because he has arrived and he has barely taken any time. And I think we often really take for granted how hard it is to just change countries, go to a different country and learn a different culture, language, bed in. And I have seen a lot of Manchester United fans talking about how how he will definitely be a legend when he retires. For me, given the way we have been over the past for 7 years, I think he already is one of our finest players that have been over the past decade. And that is testament to his performances. That within a year he's one of our best players, and I think he will he continue to do so in 2021. I'm absolutely sure about that. I think every player have their off days. Bruno already has had a couple of matches where he hasn't played well, but still his presence is important enough for us. His presence is vital enough for us to to have good performances on the pitch, which is important for us. I think the one caveat here is that having him in the team also over the past few weeks, I felt that we have become slightly over reliant on him. That
Mhm.
every time we give him the ball, there is this general idea that he will pick out the incisive pass, he'll pick out the incisive ball. I think if we can bring in better acquisitions, and I think if we can bet Van de Beek alongside him, for which I believe that we need a center defensive midfielder, because we essentially do not have one that we can put in a number six position, and then that person can take care of the defensive responsibilities. So Bruno can have another one of attack minded midfielder alongside him. I think that is one of the reasons why Donny has not been able to play as much as we would have hoped. And yeah, I think that is one of the reasons. I think it also does not help Paul Pogba's case, the way Bruno has performed. Because when
Mhm.
Paul Pogba arrived, everyone just deemed him to be this guy around which we could build a team, and he will single handedly do everything for us. And in time, I have at least realized that that is not what Paul Pogba is. Paul Pogba is not a player who you build a team around. He's a player who you build a team with. So you have to so he's the kind of person that you're gonna have to, if you put him the team, you put him in the team, you're gonna have to take you consider the risk that he might not play for 4 matches, he might not even
Mhm.
show up for 4 matches, but then carve out a 90-yard pass that and no one else on planet will be able to. So I think that is that inconsistency that, in contrast, looks a lot more worse, a lot more bad, because Bruno has been completely performing at the top level ever since he's arrived. He's at least a solid 6 on 10 at the very worst.
Right.
Even in his worst performances, he's a 6 on 10, which is, I think, the biggest factor here. So I think that is something that's going to continue next year. And like I said, if we are able to make better signings, like defense-minded signings, I think we'll be able to get more out of Bruno. So I think
Mhm.
this is just a prelude for better things to come.
Right. Wali, what do you want to add to that?
Yeah. The thing is that Bruno Fernandes has been a revelation, and I was always on the hype train when he signed over here.
Yep.
The reason is because the company in which I work, basically, we have to give the best teams, like fantasy sports. It's a fantasy
Mhm.
sports platform. So the statistical analysis that we have to do about the players so that the viewers could actually choose the best team, it was all about that. So
Mhm.
during that, whenever I used to look at the stats of Bruno Fernandes, it was unreal, man. In Sporting Lisbon, it was always 14 goals, 15 assists, or 15 goals or 16 assists. Even the season before, the season in which he joined United for the next couple of months, he was still the leading goal scorer of Sporting Lisbon. So that
Wow.
was something which, astonished me to an extent. And the only midfielder which came to my mind, I always say that he's going to be a hit because he reminds me of a Frank Lampard who's always involved in everything. Even though we
Mhm.
might say that Paul Scholes or Steven Gerrard were more gifted, but Lampard was always involved in goals and assists, and he basically played like a second striker at times. And that is exactly how tenacious Bruno Fernandes is. Not only does he
Mhm.
create the passes, but you saw the movement that he did to almost score the goal. That is a movement
Yeah.
of a number nine. That is a movement of a pure number nine. So that is exactly what he has. And yeah, man, it's just a blessing. It's just a blessing that he plays for us. A couple of days ago, Bruno Fernandes said that he was on the verge of joining Tottenham Hotspur under Pochettino. I don't know. It gives me the idea that Ed Woodward made the signing because he had Pochettino in mind as well, and probably Bruno Fernandes joined because even he knew that Pochettino might be joining. But so far so good. His relationship is quite good with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and
Mhm.
one of the most significant reasons Solskjaer is still in a job right now is because of Fernandez's brilliance. But like Anshuman says, one thing is quite toxic over here, and that is that we are being overly reliant on him, and that is
Mhm.
something which I do not like. And basically, you now you look at Liverpool. We were thinking that mm, they're gonna go down the trash, especially after Virgil van Dijk got injured. But
Mhm.
everything is they're still doing wonders out there. Even though yeah they are dropping points, but they're still at the top of the league. So even though we're reliant on him, we have the quality, we have the players up there who can, I think, make an impact, and they have been doing so. So our yes, he is a great player, but I think the other players also should step up at the same time. Because
Mhm.
there is going to be a time when he either leaves or let's say retires at United. And
Mhm.
you're seeing what's happening to Barcelona right now. Lionel Messi isn't interested in Barcelona anymore. He's having a
Mhm.
vacation, and it's all downhill for Barcelona. So
Right.
that's the problem of being overly reliant on one person. But yes, he is a great player. He's exposed Kevin De Bruyne to an extent, and I'm
Mhm.
pretty happy about that. So yeah, I think he's going to be a top scorer this season, man. With the way the things are going at the moment.
I agree with that. I feel like we are being a lot reliant on Bruno Fernandes. We even saw that in the Wolves game when there were other players making the runs, but I think it was Aaron Van Bissaka, someone on the right. He was literally just looking for where Bruno is and just wanted to pass it to him and no one else. That's definitely not like a mark of a like a title winning team. But at the same time, I'm so glad that he plays for us because he is a special player. I believe he should be winning the December Player of the Month as well.
He's winning the
Unless like
player of the year this season, man. I'm telling
yeah,
you that.
he's definitely the player of the year in 2020 as well for me, and he's by far been the best uh, player. Like even if you compare, people compare him with Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne this year, as a calendar year, hasn't been performing at all. His numbers are not great as Bruno Fernandes. He has scored only penalties this season, and I think this whole calendar year he's only scored like 2 or 3 goals that are not penalties. So comparing him with Bruno Fernandes at this moment is jokes because Bruno's way clearer than him. We have Paritosh Joshi with a question. Why is Bruno not United's captain given his performance and role? Anshuman has already touched upon it. I'm gonna say something that I don't want him to have the captain's armband because right now he's doing everything a captain can do without the armband. Giving him that armband might just give an additional pressure because now the focus would be like what Bruno doing as a captain as well, like whether he's being the right captain or not. Like we know in the cricket team, like Virat Kohli, some people would say he's too aggressive and sometimes he doesn't know how to be a captain when it's like a team that's not
Hmm.
that great, like especially with RCB. So I
Hmm.
don't want to give. I wouldn't want Bruno to have the captain's armband. Maybe later down in the future, because as of now, let him do his thing. He's already being a captain. He's being vocal in the dressing room, on the pitch. He's doing everything he can. He does it without the armband. So just giving him an armband might just be confusing. Also, we never know how it would feel for Harry Maguire. He might have a
Exactly. Yeah.
very so like I'd rather not change anything around the whole captain's armband thing. Let's just go the way it is. And yeah, with that, let's just move on to our final part, which is the preview for the Aston Villa game. Anshuman, any players to worry about in Aston Villa team? Also, just give your prediction as well.
One of our summer
Well,
targets.
there is a lot of things to worry about with Aston Villa because irrespective of whether they are winning or losing, they are a very good team right now. And last year, you would say that since they were in a relegation dogfight, and you could even argue that if Watford hadn't sacked Nigel Pearson, they would have gone on to win the league. think
We've lost.
I think there are a lot.
Mhm.
Last year they just had Jack Grealish in their ranks, and they had John McGinn, but John McGinn was injured for the long part of last season, so he was mainly absent. And they made a lot of acquisitions, over 140 million, and still it wasn't really paying much dividends. This season they have made much better signings in Bertrand Traore, Ollie Watkins, Matty Cash. These have been much better acquisitions all round. And what it has done, it has already improved a lot many players that already were in the pitch. I think Ross Barkley is currently injured, but his arrival has been absolutely outstanding. And John McGinn and Douglas Luiz have been absolutely outstanding in the midfield. Jack Grealish, ever since he got that contract, like I was really critiquing him when we were in for him and 80 million transfer fee was being touted about, and I just thought that I think I just thought it was
Mhm.
overpriced. And with the way he has played this season so far, it just feels like that would be a very paltry amount. Like we should be going for at least 100 million right now. The way things are going with him, he has been absolutely outstanding. And with he's there. Anwar Al Ghadi has started playing. Conor Horehan, every time he comes off for the bench, he starts. He's lovely with his dead ball abilities. So I think Dean Smith is really onto something there. I think he has been able to conjure up the Villa spirit. He's been able to play a brilliant game, and I think they're going to be a real threat to us because even though they have Jack Grealish in their ranks, they are not directly reliant on him.
Mhm.
Like the way we are reliant on Bruno, they are not exactly reliant on Jack Grealish to that extent. And
Mhm.
the sign, I did not talk about the signing of Emiliano Martinez. He's been one of the best goalkeepers in the league so far, and Arsenal might
Hmm.
must really be ruining their chances of having letting him go because he's really emotional player. He's a very strong-headed player, and he's finally had that chance to be a number one at a Premier League club. Kudos to him because he's been playing amazing so far. And yeah, I think they have made a lot of acquisitions that not only have improved the Villa team for this season, it has also brought back into the fore a lot of players that they had bought last season and it felt like it wasn't doing a lot. So they have a proper unit going on. And yes, between United and Aston Villa, you would say that we have a lot more metal to be able to deal with them. But I would still say that they are going to pose a lot of challenge. And they're going to be very fast. They're going to run us into the counter attack as well. So I think it was going to be an interesting matchup. I'm not sure if Tyrone Mings is going to be playing because I think he was red carded in his last match. I think it's either a one match ban or three match ban. I'm not sure because he was either if he was directly red carded then it's a three match ban.
Mhm.
So I think that'll be interesting to see. Otherwise, their defense is pretty solid even with Edri Konsa and Courtney House. So yeah, I think we have enough in the tank to see them through. I think we will be able to beat them. It's just not going to be easy. So yeah, I'm gonna say 3-1 win.
That's good one, 3-1. Wali, what about your prediction and your thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be another tricky fixture of the year because Aston Villa have been in great form. Like they're overperforming at the moment, considering that they were in the relegation zone. Uh, they have been outstanding. And yes, Jack Grealish has been the talisman, but Ollie Watkins has done well. Anwar Al Ghazi is doing quite decently well as well in front of goal. So they are a quality unit. They drew against Arsenal in their last game as well. So they have the confidence going ahead as well. And let's not forget that even when they were not in form, last season they drew at Old Trafford 2-all.
Mm-hmm.
So they have enough individual brilliance up their tank to, bother us. And it's going to be an open ended affair, I feel. I think, but in contrast to Wolves, I think they will be more open in midfield. I think they will give more space to us. They're not a team which relies on the low block as of now.
Mm-hmm.
Considering that the flair that they have in midfield and in attack, it won't suit them as well. So I think that's why I'm a little bit more confident against Aston Villa in contrast to I was against Wolves because we all
Mm-hmm.
know how Wolves are. So yeah, I think we have enough in the tank, like Anshuman said, and uh, you have your Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes once again stepping in, and it's going to be a good game. It's going to be an entertaining one, and yes, it's going to be another big game for Jack Grealish because honestly, if you ask me if I get a choice of signing Jadon Sancho or Jack Grealish, I would honestly go for Jack Grealish because the
Mm-hmm.
reason is that he's Premier League proven
Yep.
and he's been at it. He's been at it. He's been the talisman for Aston Villa even before quality arrived. So
Mm-hmm.
that is there in him, and I feel that if you get him, even though he might not be the Paul Pogba replacement, but
Mm-hmm.
if Paul Pogba goes, then you have your Donny van de Beeks, and I think Jack Grealish could play up top. You could give Bruno a rest finally.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's just see. It might be another audition for him.
Mm-hmm. What was the score? Your final prediction?
I think we're gonna win 2-1.
2-1. Okay. I think, yeah, I agree with you, Ali. Like, I thought Jack really should have been our signing of the summer last summer. I mean, this summer when we had, because people were comparing him and Madison, and I think Madison was overvalued. Like, I think he was about 80 million, and at that moment, Jack Grealish was only like 40, 50 million. And obviously, when we actually went for him, and when Aston Villa said his price was 80 million, even I also thought that was way too overpriced for a player like him. But to be honest, I think now his price must be close to three digits. I mean, in the hundreds now. The way he's playing and the way Aston Villa is playing, like not only is he just a great player, but he's also a great club captain, and obviously like a club like Aston Villa has recruited so well that Olivia Watkins, he is also going to be one of the biggest threat for us when we play them. And also one of their fullbacks that they sent from Nottingham Forest, Matty Cash, he's also been
Mm,
a crazy defender. If we were supposed to sign one player from the championship, I would have preferred him, because of like he has amazing stats, and like he had actually played, like when you ask any Nottingham Forest fans also, like they were really really sad when they sold Matty Cash to the Premier League. So, and obviously like Anshuman said, Emiliano Martinez, as I mean, what a keeper. He has definitely been the best keeper so far this season. And so they have like different players in different positions that have all been performing so well. and and yeah, it's going to be a really difficult game. I think they had one day extra now than us to prepare for, so that would also be taken into consideration. And the fact that we are playing at home, we are expected to attack more, which might suit Aston Villa a bit more because they also have players like not Adama Traore, another Traore who's coming in, and he's also
oh
going
yeah,
to
we're getting
cause
another guy. Yes.
so it's gonna be quite a crucial game for us. But if we do get a win, that would be quite very. It will be a much important win than winning against Wolves, or even to say less, even beating Leicester, because that cements ourselves as either first or second, because we don't know how the Newcastle game is going to be with Liverpool. So a lot rides on this game. We just have to keep our consistency. Hopefully, we'll pick up a bit more pace than the Wolves game. I would expect Fred and McTominay to come back for our team. And yeah, like hopefully we can get a win. I'm gonna go for 2-1 as well. Or probably we can keep a clean sheet again at Old Trafford. I think we kept three in the last four games, apart from the Leeds game. So hopefully we may continue with that. So yeah, with that 2-1 win, hopefully we are just still 2 points or on level points with Liverpool end of before we play Liverpool. Paritosh has a comment: giving Bruno the armband will shut Maguire's runs forward, and I'm happy with that. Give someone else the armband. I
He
mean,
loves
to be
rushing
honest,
forward.
yeah, but to be honest, Maguire has been all right. Like not on pitch captain wise, but like especially off field and stuff. Like even after his old Greek incident, he has been speaking well about the club. He's been speaking like a captain on the press, and I think even the other players actually do look up to Maguire. That's one thing I've noticed. Like obviously, I mean, I would prefer him to have more quality in him to be more of a presence, but I think the other players in the dressing room, maybe apart from Bruno, do look up to him, especially the young British players. So I still feel like he should be the captain for now. I don't want to change the dynamics of who's the captain, Bruno or Maguire, because Bruno, as long as he does his thing with
And
the
that
armband
could
or without,
also that could create division within the dressing room as
yeah,
well.
that's
That could
true.
be
So
bad for the club.
it'll also put more pressure on Ole. Like it'll be like an unwanted decision Ole should take. So I would keep the
Mhm.
captaincy as it is, and yeah, with that, I guess we'll wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for joining, and happy New Year
No problem.
to the
Yeah,
viewers.
happy New Year.
Hopefully, we
Final
start the
Happy
new
New
podcast
year
of
with a
Year.
bang.
2020.
Yeah. Hopefully, we start the new year with a bang. Maybe get one signing in somehow. Yeah. Any other thoughts, guys? Wali, Anshuman?
Yeah. Ed Woodward will present Amar Traore as our January transfer, and our fans will forget that he was a summer signing. That's gonna happen.
We also lost Pochettino on our call. He's in
Ah,
PSG airport. I mean Paris airport.
don't
Um,
remind me of that.
yeah. So he's just busy with that. Anshuman, any words or we just wrap it?
No, that I think we football wise we all wrapped it up. And happy New Year to
Hmm.
you guys, and happy New Year to everyone else out there. And let's hope the next year will be slightly better than this one.
Hmm. All right, guys. Thank you all.